be a little quiet from then point on, but we're waiting to go on the air. If it kicks us in the air, all right, stand by. We're waiting for the sound. All right, that does it. We'll be a little silent from now on. Uh Waiting for some quiet. Okay, and we'll just edit. We'll just cut this all out, and I'll do the pick it up from the sound check. All right. Okay, forgive me, Chris. That was how so the sound would go correctly without any problems. So, uh, we're ready to go whenever you are. Hello, folks out there at the Atari community and all over the internet, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere, LinkedIn, pretty much the whole blogs throughout the internet. My name is Chris Kennedy, and this is Coffee with Chris Kennedy and Chris Crawford. And it's take one. Today is June 6th, 2024, and it's 8 o'clock at nighttime. In the East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Kennedy. Woohoo! Welcome to Coffee with Chris. I'm very excited to be with you, with a fellow Chris. And this is Chris Crawford, game creator and interactive storyteller. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, pretty good. I got my tractor working today. That's a
That's
great
good.
relief.
You
I,
do like yard work a lot, right? Really?
well, I have 40 acres of forest land, and it's necessary to have a tractor, for a lot of tasks.
Awesome, awesome.
So,
That's good. Yeah, and you live on a 40-acre land, so that's probably a nice place. That's definitely a nice place you got there. But when we done the seminar last time, I pretty much liked how you had a nice setup. It was nothing too fancy, which I admire.
mm, yeah, yeah, it's a great place here. Uh,
Gotcha.
but it needs a lot of work, and without a tractor, it's really hard.
Understandable. Yeah. And the maintenance here at my place is like a little. I have to call the maintenance people, the janitors and the custodians or whoever. And they have to. The upkeep is like massive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I sometimes assist them with that. So I don't know much about. I'm more of a computer. Like I'm more electronics, computers, and like more reading and clerical.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Chris Crawford is a game creator. He worked with Apple and Atari, I believe, right?
Just Atari.
Gotcha.
I've never employed by Apple. I just had I was an external developer.
Oh, gotcha. So you were an external developer, freelance, I guess, for Apple,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah. See, so we're going to talk about his games, whatever games he created. And two of them are not what they. I know on some pages they say he created Simhearth, The Living Planet in 1991, and High Command Europe in 1939 and 1945 in 1992. That was the title, 1939 and 45 after High Command Europe, and it was created in 1992. However, he did not create those. He just
Nope.
let me know. So we kind of wanted to put that out there and made itself clear. So I want to talk to you about yeah. So you have I believe I read somewhere that you have a diploma, a college diploma in physics, right?
Yeah, I have a Master of Science degree in physics.
Very good. Yeah, and you graduated from what school again?
University of Missouri. I got my
Missouri.
bachelor's at University of California, Davis.
Gotcha. Awesome. So you worked. So when did you do external computer work for Apple?
Well, I was a freelance game designer, and
Yes.
so I did the Balance of Power and
Mm-hmm.
Patton versus Rommel and Trust and Betrayal and Guns and Butter, Patton Strikes Back. All of those I did on the Macintosh.
Oh,
And
very good. So that's probably like late 80s, early 90s, right?
yep, yep.
Very good. Like,
So my only
say,
relationship with them was as a freelance external developer.
yes, gotcha. Gotcha. Let's let the record show that. Yeah, that's an awesome job to have, pretty much still, I think. Uh, I'm gonna go back a little bit in time if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Tank Ticks, was it 1976 or 78 or 79? I forget what.
The original Tactics I did on an IBM 1130 at the college where I was teaching.
Yes,
And then I wrote it in Fortran. And then I got my first computer, a Chem 1 microcomputer, single board computer. And I made a version of Tactics for that. And then
yes,
finally in 1980, I think it was, I revised it again for Avalon Hill, and they released Tactics then.
gotcha. Sounds like a good game. Yeah, I would like to try it out myself if I can find a copy of it on the internet.
It's not one of my better games. It was one of my first game. I'm still learning.
Gotcha. It would be worth it to play just to see how get the feel of it, because I'm a big loyal friend and true of your games, regardless.
Mm.
Now, how I knew Chris Crawford, how I got to meet him was I wanted to do a podcast with him, and how I found out about him was I remember seeing him on the Computer Chronicles with my idol Stuart Chaffee. And this was back in like, I forget, 1984, 85.
Yeah, right around then.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time. Yeah, and I saw the episode a few years earlier, and I said, I remember this. I used to love this show. He kind of interested me with his games
Mm.
and his persona too. And there was another gentleman he appeared on. I forget his name.
Oh, I can't recall. Yeah,
Gotcha.
there were two of them.
Yes, I'll let you know about it in another show. I promise, friends. Once I find that out. But yeah, I'll talk about Energy Scissor. I guess for now, that was like 1980,
Yeah,
and that was an which game? Atari, right?
yeah, that was an educational simulation for
Yes.
Atari. I laugh when I say that. There's a cute story behind it.
Yes.
Uh, Actually, I think it was Scram. No, it was Energy Czar that this happened on.
Yeah.
It's primarily about energy conservation and the economics of it and the environmental issues and so forth. And uh, at that time, the marketing people at Atari had a very clear notion that the computer was going to be used for serious stuff, education, business, and so forth. And the 2600 Stella, the VCS, was for games, and they
Yes.
did not want the computer
Hmm.
cannibalizing the games market
Oh
from
wow.
Stella. And so they did not want any games on the computer. And so I had this Energy Czar, which was, I admit, a game, but very educational. All my stuff is educational. And
Yes.
uh, the the procedure used at Atari was once you got the game pretty in beta, pretty much complete, ready to show. Marketing came over to engineering, and you put on a dog and pony show presenting, here's my product here, and you'd explain how it works and show them all the stuff, and then they would go back and decide whether or not they wanted it. Um, well, I gave my presentation, and there was a the group was actually kind of quiet for a minute, and then the marketing vice president looked at me hard and said, "Is this a game?" And I said, "No, no, educational simulation." And he looked at
Yeah.
me and he said, "I don't know. It looks fun." So,
Maybe it's educational and fun. He should know.
well, yeah, yeah. So that was a cute.
Education can be fun too. Yeah. Knowledge is exciting. Just look at Jeopardy and how that went, and Wheel of Fortune and The Price is Right. They're educational games in their own right, but they're
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. But Energy Czar was,
Yeah,
again, it was my second game. It wasn't very good. Uh,
gotcha.
I'm not proud of it, but
Oh, wow.
it's understandable as, an early game in 1980. Games back then were pretty primitive.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, I like primitive games. I'm a huge loyal friend and true of primitive games with primitive graphics, I have to tell you.
Hmm.
So, Eastern Front is another game. 1941 is in the
Oh,
subtitle.
oh, you missed Scram. I didn't even notice that.
I
But
don't think I saw it on the page. How could I forgot? How did I see that?
yeah,
Scram.
after Energy Czar, I did Scram, which is a nuclear power plant simulation,
Oh, nice.
and it shows the water flowing through and the turbines and the steam generators and all of that stuff.
Yes.
And that was a much better effort. That one I think was a decent design. Still, in game terms, fairly simple. I'm surprised to say that a lot of people found it difficult. I thought it was trivially easy, but anyway. So yes, I did Scram in also in 19. Well, actually, I think Scram came out right at the beginning of 81.
Yes.
And then Eastern Front came out in
Yeah.
August of 81.
Yes. What was Eastern Front about? I remember. I'm sorry. I wonder what Eastern Front is about
Well, that
again.
was my first really good game. It's
Gotcha.
about the war between Germany and Russia in World War II. And the Germans called it the Eastern Front. Germany invaded Russia, and it was a gigantic war. Still the biggest single military operation in history, involving more people than anything else in history. Literally millions of people were involved in this conflict. And the
Yes.
Germans were pretty barbaric. They killed lots and lots of people.
Yeah.
And the Russians were
Come
pretty
on.
barbaric too.
Yep.
The Germans killed lots of Russians, but the Russians, they killed lots of Russians too.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah, they were very brutal
Yeah.
about, they often would station NKVD people, security people, just behind the front lines, and anybody who came running back, they'd shoot. So they didn't take no nonsense. So, and their
Yeah.
techniques were brutal. They really
Yeah.
lost huge numbers of people, lots of casualties because they just didn't really care about it. So,
Yeah.
anyway, Eastern Front was operational combat. That is, your basic unit was a division, and you maneuvered these things around on this big scrolling map. That was the first big innovation. Had a great big scrolling map of Russia. And so at any given time, you saw a small portion of it, but with the joystick, you could scroll around the map. That was a considered a big innovation. That was really, it wasn't mine. It was built into the hardware. I
Oh
just
yeah.
did what the hardware could do. Nobody had bothered using that feature of the Atari.
Yes.
And I did a number of other good things in that. It had a really good user interface. So you could just scroll around and see a unit and click the button and say, all right, I'm going to give him orders now. And so it was a clean user interface. It
Yeah.
had it really exploited the capabilities of the Atari very well. It had lots and lots of color because it used lots of what are called display list interrupts, which are complicated technical tricks that allow you to get a lot more color onto the screen. Um, it also had really nice AI. I was quite pleased with the AI I built into that because it was convergent AI. Basically, while the user was making his moves, the computer was making his moves too. And basically, the computer started off with really rough estimate of rules. And then it would go back and refine them a little bit. And then it would refine them a little more. And it would just keep refining and refining until the user said, okay, I'm done. Play this turn. And that's when the game went ahead. So it was a basically threaded operation on a microcomputer, and it worked very well.
Awesome. Yeah, that seems like an awesome game. Wish I could try it if I can find a copy. I didn't get a chance to play it all that much, sad to say.
Hmm.
But hopefully I'll find a copy of it somewhere. And did we talk about Legion Air yet?
Legionnaire came out at roughly the same time.
Yes.
Uh, that was also on the Atari. I had originally done it on the Commodore PET, but the version on the PET was pretty dumb, and I
Oh
really
my.
reworked it
Yes.
for the Atari and made it a great deal. I made huge improvements on it. Now, Eastern Front was turn sequenced. That is, you make your moves and you play one move. Uh, Legionnaire was real time.
Yes.
And so nowadays, almost everything is real time. But,
Yeah.
excuse me, I got to
No problem.
fix this
Gotcha.
one thing. There.
Yes.
Um, and it was an experiment for me. And in the end, I decided I didn't like real time play because it tended to make for a more frantic style and didn't permit careful thought. And all of my games were in some way educational, and the point and purpose was to induce or encourage careful thought on the part of the player. And I didn't see that with Legionnaire. So uh, I, again, not one of my better games.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I would like to try it anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. But yeah, here's a game that I really love regardless. Gossip. Yeah, I this is
Yes.
a game that I love that you said you really enjoyed making and
Yeah.
something one that requires like a lot of interaction.
Yeah, Gossip was very innovative. It was a
Yes.
completely new idea. Basically, all you're doing is talking to other people on the phone and
Yes.
uh, gossiping. And
Yeah.
uh, the style of play, I was actually quite pleased with the interface because it relied on very simple user inputs. Again, we're using just joysticks here. We didn't have mice. Uh,
Wow.
but you'd see this twin panels, each with four faces on it. And the faces are very simple because we had very poor graphics back then.
Yes.
And what you do is with the joystick, you'd select one of the faces and then press the button to call them. And the little telephone next to them would ring. And we did a good job with that. And then this was Randy Smith's great contribution. They'd pick up the phone and say, "Arrow," which was pretty
Ooh.
good. Given the memory restrictions,
Yes.
uh, the it was actually pretty good sound thing. That it took very little space and yet it sounded right. But then the way you
Absolutely.
gossiped was by making a face, and there were like I think 9 faces,
Yeah.
ranging from to
Oh yeah.
and everything in between. And very
Yeah.
simple graphics, but it was really clear that you're saying something really nice or really nasty or a little nice or a little nasty or neutral or whatever. And so it was a nice user interface and really nice system of algorithms. Basically, you had to be careful about what you said to different people. And in
Yeah.
some cases, it was stupid. to say something nice about another character if everybody hated him. So
Wow.
it was a cute game. It was actually a study for something much more complex that we used
Yes.
in Excalibur, which was a huge
Yeah.
program. And this was, and we had a section in it that was operationally similar to Gossip, but not as explicit. And uh, and so I spun off Gossip as sort of a special study game, a subset of the system used in Excalibur. Uh, so, but Excalibur was the main project, and that was a really big piece of work. Whole thing written in assembler, and God, it was huge by the standards of the day. Uh,
Yes.
it couldn't fit in 48K of RAM. And so it had this complicated overlay scheme where it would bring in chunks of code to execute them and then throw them away and bring in other chunks of code and so forth. It was big and
Yes.
complicated, and it was I think the most sophisticated 8-bit game that was ever done. I mean, it had an awful lot of stuff in it. Whether it
Wow.
was fun or not is harder to say. It
Yeah.
came out just before Atari collapsed, and so very few people had a
Oh
chance to
wow.
play with it.
Yeah.
Um, it certainly had a lot of stuff in it. There was a tactical game, there was a strategic level, there was a sort of a magic level game where you could use Merlin to your benefit. There was an economic game. It was all folded together in a very complex fashion. I'm quite pleased with it.
Awesome. It was an awesome game indeed. Yeah. Now, another of your most awesome games that I love to talk about is Excalibur from
Yeah,
that same year.
that's the one. That's the one I'm talking about, the Arthurian game.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were talking about that one. Yeah, I'm sorry. We transitioned from
Yeah, I
Gossip to
jumped too
Excalibur.
quickly.
I'm sorry. I couldn't keep up. I apologize. I thought we were stuck on Gossip for whatever reason. See, I'm looking at my paper, and sometimes my mind jumps from one place to another. I apologize about that. But yeah, Excalibur had all the nice package, right? I would love to play both those games then.
For Excalibur, I actually wrote a small novel, um, basically combining the rules and the strategy
Yes,
into a single novella. Uh,
gotcha.
and an interesting thing is the guy, the publisher, which was the Atari Program Exchange, the guy at the publisher who was overseeing it. When I first told him I was going to write a novella, he was not enthusiastic, and with good reason. Most
Yeah.
programmers could not write their way out of a paper bag, and he was very much concerned that I would produce this trite, cliched piece of nonsense. And it wasn't
Wow.
that at all.
Yeah.
And he was terribly impressed and said so. So
Oh
it
yeah.
that came out well.
Gotcha. Very good. Yeah. So what about Patton versus Rommel was your next game, I believe, after that.
That was well, actually, no, we got to flip here.
Okay.
Balance of Power, the first version of Balance of Power came out
Yes.
before Patton versus Rommel in
Gotcha.
1985, I believe, late
Yes.
85.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest hit. That was a huge hit by the standards of the day. Um, it generated lots of talk. It got me. Uh, there was a big story about me in the New York Times Sunday
Wow.
magazine. I mean, there was a lot of journalistic attention to it because it was a serious game about
Yes.
nuclear warfare that was about avoiding a nuclear war. And there's
Yeah.
a funny story about that. Um, I did not, while I was still developing it, uh, I didn't have an ending for it. I just, if you started a nuclear war, you lost. That was
Oh
fundamental
boy.
from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think I just turned the screen black to
Wow.
indicate that. Uh,
Yeah.
but one of the play testers, I was with a small group of people, and two of the play testers were there. Or one of the play testers was talking to somebody else, and I
Uh,
overheard him say, "Yeah, if you lose, it tells you uh, that you lost, and we don't reward failure or something like that." Well, that was wrong. That wasn't in there.
yeah.
But it was such a good idea that I used it. I
Wow.
put in at the very end, if you do start a nuclear war, screen goes black and you just get some text on the screen saying, you have ignited a thermonuclear war. And no, there is no animated display of a big explosion and a mushroom cloud with parts of
Uh-huh.
bodies flying through the air. We do not
Uh,
reward failure.
exactly.
And that had a, I was surprised at the impact that had on people. It really hit them. It hit them hard. And I thought, well, yeah, what do you expect? A nuclear war. But people thought that that was really hard hitting. So, but the game was sophisticated. It did require a subtle understanding of the mechanics of geopolitics, how things work, and
Yes.
uh, how you have to send signals to the Soviet Union through your actions. Talk doesn't mean anything. Uh, it's what you do and what initiatives you take and what responses you make to the Soviet actions. And there are times when you must stand firm and challenge them. Uh, and there are other times when you need to back down, and
Yeah.
learning when to, make that difference. That was crucial to success in the game. But basically, you had to learn that there are some things that the Soviets are going to win on, and there's just no use trying to challenge them in that particular topic or area. Uh,
Yes.
but there are other things where you have the advantage and you can stand firm, and the Soviets will probe you and see what they can get away with. So it did require a subtle understanding of the geopolitical situation in the 1980s. And that made
Yes.
it very difficult for a lot of people. I was, again, surprised. A lot of people had no idea, where Pakistan is or stuff like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was this revived version. Was it called Balance of Power 90? And
Yes, a few years
yes.
later,
Mhm.
Mindscape, the publisher, came back to me and said, Chris, the world is changing, and there were a
Yeah.
lot of features that people requested for Balance of Power. What if you do an
Yeah.
upgraded version? And that,
Mm-hmm.
we got more memory now, faster processors. And so I agreed, and
Yes.
so I built it. Wasn't that big an advance. It really had. I mean, some of the internal algorithms I completely reworked, and it had more data and more imagery. But it was
Yes.
basically the same game.
Very good. Yeah. Same game indeed, but a little bit more updated imagery and new material, some new material because of the world changed, right?
Yeah, the big thing people wanted was a multipolar game where
Gotcha.
other countries could be actors on the world stage. And I
Yeah.
did put in a little of that, but I never went to the full multipolar because it turned out to be impossible for people to understand. So,
Absolutely. I do want to take a step back to I do want to stop everything for just a second to let you know, and everybody know that if I'm going a little bit jumping around the place, forgive me, but the information I took was from a site. I believe it was Moby Games, and that site might have some not accurate information. So I apologize if some of my questions seem repetitive, like I'm a repeating material or questions, or I'm my dates are incorrect or the games are incorrect. Some of the titles.
Wait. You mean to tell me that some things on the internet aren't true?
Some things might not, especially Wikipedia. That's why
Oh,
you always have must trust. What do you call it? The newspaper, like New York Times, or I'm sorry, New York Times or Encyclopedia.
well, Wikipedia, at least they have a checking mechanism. The
Yeah,
ones that really bother me are the crackpot. There's a lot of crackpot stuff. YouTube
I
is
know.
full of, eat my revolutionary diet and you will
Oh
grow
my!
an extra penis or something.
I know. Thank you for that joke. Yeah, but it's true. He's very serious with that joke because there's a lot of what do you call it? People that are insane. And I try not to be one of them. I try to stay on my game with these coffee chat shows. Now, occasionally I might say a risque or a bad word or a couple of harsh words, but nothing too out there or dramatic or conflicting. I try to keep it on the light. I try to keep it light and happy. So I apologize if this show has some what do you call it, mishaps or inaccurate information. We're trying to get as accurate as possible from Chris himself. Everybody. Uh, and how you doing out there on the Atari forum? I will be posting this on the Atari forum and message boards, Atari Age. So let me know. Give me your feedback. Give Chris any questions or comments you have after the show, and I'll pass them along for you. You can email me at ckennedygames at
Actually,
gmail.com. Go
I
ahead.
I occasionally pop up on Atari Age, and
Oh,
so
nice, nice.
I'll check in there, and if anybody has any questions,
I remember that. Yes, you are on there. I saw your fabulous posts, and it's very. I gets me wondering about things. Yeah, I checked them out. We'll definitely chat on there too, along with female. Yeah, but yeah, and for your friends out there, if you're tuning into this now, if you have any questions or comments, say so. Uh, Email me or private message me or use the chat right there on YouTube or Twitch or wherever. Remix Plum, do you have any questions for him? Send them away. You have any comments? Send them away. Feel free to join us. And yeah, we'll continue on. Patton and versus Rommel and Trust and Betrayal, The Legacy of Sabu. When was those two games exactly?
oh, it was one game.
Yes.
That
Oh,
one, you know, that's the most creative thing I've ever done.
yes.
It was
Both
triggered.
of those.
Trust and Betrayal, Legacy of Cebu. That's one game,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was meant to say. Yeah, that's the subtitle, Legacy of Sea Boot too. And then
and
there was another one called Patton and Rommel versus Rommel. I'm sorry.
yeah. Let's deal with Patton and Rommel first.
Yeah, let's do that. Good idea. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Doesn't
Electronic
make it
Art,
much easier.
yeah,
Go
Electronic
ahead.
Arts approached me and said, "We'd like you to do a game for us.
Yes.
We'd like you to do a war game."
Yeah.
And I talked with them about it, and we bounced some ideas around, and then I came up with something that I said, you know, this would be a different way of doing a war game, and this could be interesting.
Yeah.
So they backed me, and I went ahead and developed this game. And again, it was a completely new type of war game. It it had a number of basically there were no squares or hexagons. It was
Yeah.
point by point movement, so you could move. I mean, pixel by pixel, you could move in tiny increments.
Yes.
And I was also rather pleased with the AI I developed. you played as the Americans, and the Germans had a really nice system for
Yeah.
dealing with the fact that the Americans could smash through their lines and tear a hole in the line. And the Germans were pretty good about falling back and sealing the break. That I
Gotcha.
was pleased with how that worked. But uh, ultimately, Patton versus Rommel did not sell terribly well. It, it had a few good ideas,
Yeah.
and some of the ideas, and it could still be used today, but we've got better.
Awesome. Yeah. We're good, and yeah, I understand. Yeah. They could
So,
still be good, and we can make good on them. Yeah. So that
getting
was
on.
Pat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm ready to go ahead with Trust and Betrayal,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was gonna say. We're moving
uh,
on to Trust and Betrayal now, right?
okay, yeah.
That was Patton versus Rama we talked about. Okay, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Trust and Betrayal, as I said, was the most innovative design I have ever done.
Yeah.
A good game should have at least one major innovation. And in and I must say, I'm I'm sad to say,
Oh
very few
my.
of the games I've seen in the last 30 years
Yeah.
have even one major innovation. Most of them are just
Yeah.
rehashes of existing stuff, different
Yes.
combinations of old ingredients, and so forth.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, everything was new. And so there was a lot of room for innovation. And
Yes.
typically, I would have at least one and sometimes two major innovations in any game I designed. With Trust and Betrayal, I had five. Uh, I mean, there were big ideas built into that design. The basic concept was language. Be talk to other people. But of course, we can't
Yes.
do natural language in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came up with an artificial language.
Yeah.
Uh, you could talk to other people with sentences assembled out of icons. And
Wow.
that was a huge innovation, especially it used what I called an inverse parser, which was another major innovation. Uh, a parser, as you may know, is a basically you type in a full sentence and then the parser goes through and figures out what the sentence means. And most of the time, the parser comes back and says, "Yeah, yeah, I don't understand it. Try again." And
Mm-hmm.
parsers are terribly frustrating to work with. Well, I came up
Yeah.
with an inverse parser
Gotcha.
where you choose your first word, and then it says, "Well, here are the words that you could use next."
Yeah.
And you just selected from one. And then he said, "Okay, given what you've already done, here are the words that could be the third word in your sequence."
Aha, so it's like a word game. You would be given see you would see a group of a series of words, and you would construct sentences using those series of words for every word.
Yeah,
That could
yeah.
be a great word puzzle game show you just
Well,
created.
it allowed you to create sentences that
Yes.
you communicate to other people. You would say things to other people, and it turned out it was very quick to use. Once you had used the language a little bit, you could start just click, 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 click. What do you think of
Absolutely.
that? And
Absolutely.
it was that was a huge innovation.
I think
And
it's wonderful.
I actually continued to develop the idea with other designs, but it never amounted to much. And I'm really sad to say that nobody ever stole that idea. It's a damn good idea. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that was 35 years ago and nobody ever used it. So that
Wow.
disappointed me. Um,
Oh, sorry to hear that.
let's see. Oh, another idea I came up with,
Yeah.
major innovation, was something that I called uh, anecdotes.
Yes.
Really, these were very simple situations where it would suddenly interrupt the game and just show you a few paragraphs of text, presenting you with an interesting event
Sorry about
or
this is the water
something.
bottle.
Uh,
Sorry, go ahead. Can you
uh,
repeat that? I'm sorry, my water bottle was making noise.
okay.
I'm
Uh,
sorry.
it would present you, the main screen would be wiped, and you just get a bunch of text
Yes.
presenting an interesting situation. I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
Uh, you walk into a room, and one of the other characters is there, and you
Yeah.
suddenly notice, oh, by the way, there were 7 different species in this game, and
Yes.
that's why you had to use this weird language. You
Yeah.
couldn't speak in their own language, so there was this mental language that you spoke with mental imagery. And so you walk into
Yes.
this room, and here's one of the other characters, and you suddenly realize that their zipper is unzipped, or whatever
Wow.
it is with their species. Their clothing isn't right, and you can see something that is not supposed to be seen. And you have
Yeah.
the very simple problem. Do you say, ha, 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 you stupid? Or do you say,
Oh,
uh, I don't don't worry about this, but your zipper's undone.
uh-huh.
Or do you not say anything? Uh, well,
Exactly.
it depends on the person. Uh, one of the characters has quite a temper, and so you don't tell them. You just, sorry, I see nothing, and you
Exactly.
leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was, so you're presented with these choices,
Yes.
and then the choices produce changes in their relationship with you. And this brought me to another major innovation. I had all of this stuff. It was much too much stuff to have in memory. So I left it out on the floppy disk and brought these things in one at a time. And I needed a compact way to calculate the uh, the algorithms for changing the relationship. And I decided to do it with the calculator language. Basically, I took a standard, re- ever heard of reverse Lukasiewicz notation? Or for that matter, reverse Polish notation,
I
RPN?
hadn't. Yeah, I
Okay.
hadn't.
Well, this is from the good old days when we had those old
Or
calculators.
maybe I did. I hadn't remembered it.
Most calculators used a rather stupid system, but
Yeah.
the calculators from HP, Hewlett Packard, used RPN, which is
Yeah.
much more flexible. I mean, you can do a huge range of calculations using RPN, and it's just done with a calculator, same keyboard, same display, but it's a lot easier to do big, complicated calculations. So I, in effect, implemented an RPN calculator inside this program, and uh, I just had a string of text, uh, XR9 capital Y slash 21, blah, blah, blah. And that meant do these commands in the calculator and store the result over here. It was
Yes.
very clever arrangement because it was compact. It would work on a 68,000 fast enough, and it allowed me to do some complicated calculations. So that was another one.
Yes.
And I forget, there were 2 others, I think. Uh,
Other
there
games?
no, 2 other major innovations in
Oh,
it.
sorry. Innovations within that game. Gotcha.
Oh, one of them was the combat system,
Yes.
which was a rock, scissors, paper system. And I've
Yeah.
long argued, and nobody has ever paid attention to this,
Wow.
that rock, scissors, paper is a beautiful system for certain types of combat. Actually, no, a guy did a game at Broderbund that had something like rock, scissors, paper. It's non-commutative combat relationships. The idea, you know, rock beats scissors, scissors beat paper, paper beats rock, but rock can't beat paper.
Yeah.
What you can do with it, you can expand this concept in a million different directions. For
Yeah.
example, in this design, uh, you were in effect given, you might at any given point have, say, 3 rocks, 2 scissors, and 5 papers. And
Yeah.
so then you had to play one of them. And which one do you play against another person? Well, if you know what he already has, then you can come up with a good guess as to what he might use, which will tell you what to use. And in fact, much of the game, though, was talking to other people, trading information. Hey, I heard that Joe over there, he's got 3 rocks. And then you talk to somebody else and they say, he's got only 1 scissors. And if you compile enough information, you can be pretty sure what the other guy will use, which means you can beat him in dream combat, which happens every night. So,
Given the clues and ideas of what he
yeah,
might hold.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
it was a very innovative system.
Yes.
And there are a million ways. I mean, rock, scissors, paper itself is a dumb game. It's
Yeah.
just guesswork. But
Oh,
if you
yeah.
take that basic structure and start fiddling with it and adding new things, you can end up with some really interesting combat systems. So, but again, nobody ever took that idea and ran with it. There's a bunch of different ways to do it.
Oh, yes.
So, oh well,
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Maybe somebody will one day, hopefully. You never know. Or they'll
never
pick up
know.
on this. Yeah, that would be nice.
Sad to say, Trust and Betrayal was not a commercial success because
Yeah.
nobody could figure it out. It was a little too weird for most people.
Gotcha.
And
Oh, wow.
nevertheless, it had a bunch of major innovations in it. And it turned out that one of the innovations in it became, after with considerable reworking, became the basis for Le Mort d'Arthur, which I completed a year and a half ago. So should have done it back then. So that was Trust and Betrayal. Then I did Balance of Power, the sequel, and
Yeah.
that sold some product. It made money, but I'm not very proud of it. It didn't have any major innovations.
Gotcha. I have another 3 or 4 games that you've done, and you tell me if you've done them or if my dates are correct or whatever. The Global Dilemma, Guns Are Better. I mean, Guns Are Butter was
Yeah,
the subtitle, 1990.
yeah, that was mine. That was.
Yeah.
It's funny. 3 of the best game designers in the world at the same time, at roughly the end of the 80s, decided to do
Yes.
Conquer the World games. These were all based on an old mainframe game called Empire, where you tried to conquer the world and basically you capture cities, and that gives you resources that you can use to build more armies and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Let's see. Dan Bunton did, I forget which one he did, but he did a Conquer the World game. And my Conquer the World game was Global Dilemma. And
Yeah.
Sid Meier did one called Civilization.
Yes.
And Sid's was a gigantic success, and mine was a total failure.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
the reason being that Sid designed a game to be a good game, and I couldn't resist the educational aspect. Global Dilemma had some really good lessons in it about the nature
Yeah.
of progress and uh, and the role of size in developing an economy. And so I was pleased with it. It was very educational design, and again, it has some really nice innovations. Very nice system for building a map. Uh, I think its map was better than Civilizations, or its map algorithms were better than Civilizations. Civilization 1. In
Yeah.
Civilization 2, they started improving tremendously. The
Yes.
other thing it had was a nice innovation. Again, nobody ever stole this idea. Let me see if I can explain it. It's
Yeah.
a well-known algorithm. In fact, there's a name for it, Markov chains. Uh,
Yes.
Basic idea is that you can take an awful lot. Well, in fact, in
Yeah.
many ways, it's an extremely primitive precursor to generative AI. And I used it to generate names of countries, uh, but at a far more primitive level. Basically, I took uh, I compiled all sorts of Mongol names or Turkic names. The Mongol language and the Turkic language are very, very close together.
Yes.
And I just put them all into a long, long list. And then, and this all happened in when you launched the game, it would go through the list and come up with probability tables. That is, what is the probability that an A will be followed by a B? Or what about probability of A being followed by C or D or E?
Yeah.
And so it would build those.
Oh, yes.
That's first order probabilities. Then it builds second order. What is the probability that AA will be followed by B, or AA followed by C, or AA followed by D? And it would do all of those. That's the second order.
Right.
Then it would do third order. And I think I went up to fourth order.
Yes.
And then once I've got those probabilities, then
Mhm.
I just turn it around, and to generate a country name, I would roll up a random number and use that at the first level to get the first letter. And then I would roll another random number to get the second letter. And
Yes.
as I went on, I'd be consulting all levels, all four levels, and generating
Yes.
these names. And they were pretty damn good. They really looked exotically Mongol. Uh, Now, that's largely because Mongol is alien to most people. And so I could
Yeah.
get away with poor approximations. A little later on, just for fun, I
Hmm.
attempted to do it with English place names.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Lower Chesham, uh, Upper Chiswell.
Wow.
I mean, there are all these standard components of English place names. And I got all of them in there, and then I spun them out, and they came out crap. Uh,
Oh
because
my.
people expected, Warwick. We know what that's supposed to sound like or look like, and some of the names that came out of it were just garbage. So didn't work with those. The lesson is that with only 4 levels deep, you've got to do something pretty exotic. Nowadays, of course, we could use this system for, uh, we could go 10 levels deep, and we could get,
Yeah.
generate all sorts of words. In fact, they're generating whole essays. So,
Yeah.
enough, you can generate anything.
Yes. Very
So,
nice. Cool.
yeah,
Sounds like some
basically, I was
very
doing
simple.
generative AI in what, 1990? Uh,
Yeah. Very innovative for its time.
so
Yes.
at an extremely primitive level.
You're like the father of AI. You are the
No,
father
no,
of
no,
AI.
no, no.
Oh.
Uh, uh, it's just that I did, uh, I stumbled on that, and in fact, I approached a number of other people.
Yeah.
a musician. I said, "Do you think we can generate music this way?" He said, "No, no, there are too many complexities in the way a note is
Really?
played."
Oh my.
Um, but again, I was thinking in one-dimensional terms, the multidimensionality. I mean, I never really thought big the way the modern AI is done. Uh,
Gotcha.
I mean, to take it much better, I had to type in every one of those names. And
Yes.
for the modern AI, they just suck in petabytes of text and imagery and so forth. I wouldn't have been able to type in all of that. So, uh,
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. What about the balance of the planet?
yes, that was uh, that was an environmental game. I wanted to do something absolutely educational from the very start, and I've actually taught environmental issues. And the big problem people have in understanding these issues is how
Yes.
everything is connected. That you can't take any issue in isolation. This thing here is going to affect three other things over there, and that one is going to affect six other things. And
Yeah.
with all of these connections, people have a great deal of difficulty. They get confused. And so I decided, okay, we'll put this in a hypertext format. That is, each of the basic environmental terms is, in effect, one node in this network. And it has causal effects that spread down to other things. And then those other things affect other things. And I had this network. I think there were about 80 different factors, like how much nuclear power you have, how much oil you're burning, how much coal you're burning, uh, how many people are dying from air pollution, uh, how much food people have, how many people are starving to death. Uh, like I said, there was something like 80 environmental, economic, and technological factors, and they were all interconnected in this complex manner. And
Yes.
basically, you adjusted. You had you could subsidize, you could tax some things and use the money to subsidize other things. And the idea was to get the ideal balance between the two. And that turned out to be complicated, but it
Wow.
has some really nice ways of presenting the information so that you
Yeah.
could understand it. Uh, again, I even put in a feature there where if a lot of this depends on the equations.
Yes.
For example, if you have nuclear power, how many people will it kill? Well, I did the research and came up with the best numbers I could. But my attitude was, hey, if you think it's different, you could actually go in and alter the equation. Uh, and I even had biases built into it. Hey, you want to see the way the world looks like from the point of view of an industrialist?
Yeah.
Play this version, and all the numbers are tweaked for his point of view. Here's an environmentalist point of
Hmm.
view. Here's a politician's point of view, and so forth. It was a really nice feature, but that very few people used. Um, I put in more stuff into that design than most people used. It was a good design. I then reworked it about 12 years ago, made a much better version, but it only ran in Java and you had to download it from my website. And so very few people played it. And some time ago, I started doing a version in JavaScript that I could just put up on the web, and anybody could play it. But then I realized, here I go. I'm gonna go off and build this damn fool idealistic educational game, and nobody will play it. And I've got other things I need to do. And So it's sitting on the back burner, and maybe I'll finish it, but
Gotcha. We're coming up to the hour, friends. We're gonna get this list done. I don't remember if we talked about, yeah. Did we talk about Patton Strikes Back? The Battle of the Bulge from 1991 or 1992 or 93?
yeah, yeah, that was not one of my better designs. It was
Oh
an
man.
attempt to do what I called a war game for the rest of us. War games had gotten very complicated, and I thought that it would be nice to produce a war game that other people could play, anybody could play. And so I put in lots of good user interface stuff. It was very easy to learn and to play. And ultimately, it did not sell very well, and it was a disappointment. And I must admit, it was a very nicely done piece of software, but it didn't have any major innovations in it. So I'm that's not a game I will put on my tombstone.
Okay, gotcha. Hopefully not for a long time, but yeah, I understand. Yeah. Uh, I wouldn't put that game on my tombstone. Or maybe I would if I was in your shoes. I don't know if it was me. But I'm going to talk about a game that is on your site that I enjoyed playing. It's called Le Morte d'Arthur. And Chris Crawford has a site called erasmataz.com that it's a blog, first of all. It's a retro styled blog created with older hardware or software, I should say. And it is a combination of interactive storytelling in there too.
Uh, it is first the website erasmataz.com
Yes.
is it is early 20-year-old HTML
Yes.
because I don't like modern website design. Let's have something move across the screen. Oh, look at this ad here. Oh yeah, isn't that great? Oh,
Exactly. Oh
flash
yeah.
things around. RG, aren't we cute? Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm not interested in that. I want to communicate. And so I write
Gotcha.
essays. It's not a blog in that I don't
Oh,
it's not, you know, June 6th, 2024. Today I worked on my tractor and blah 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 blah.
yeah.
Whatever.
It's more of a storytelling.
Well, it's structured as in hypertext. It has, it's a big tree. Here's the library where there are big ideas. And then
Yes.
those big ideas, there are about 20 of those, like game design and interactive storytelling and science and the human mind and all these different topics. And then underneath those, there are more topics. And so it's a giant tree. And there are lots of interconnections. And a huge range of topics. It has my one thing I'm particularly pleased with is
Yes.
the history of thinking. Uh,
Yeah.
that's a long series of essays explaining how we got to where we are, and it presents some rather innovative ideas about the development of human thought. Anyway, of human thinking processes. Anyway, the that's the website, but
Hmm.
the game is called Le Mort d'Arthur,
Oh, that's how you say it. Yeah.
and
The
that is my uh, opus magnus, my life's work. After I finished Patton Strikes Back, that was 91 or 92, 91. And I said, all right,
Yes.
now I'm going to do interactive storytelling because that's what we really need to do. Games
Hmm.
are never going to expand out of the games universe. We
Yeah.
need to do games about people, not things.
Yes.
And in fact, I have these little caps. Let's see if I have one here. Uh, no, I don't. Uh,
Oh.
I have these little caps that have propellers on top of them, and say
Yes.
people, not things,
Oh,
because
nice.
that's the fundamental concept that I am pushing. Games are always about things, and they're never really about people. There are fake people, but they're really just vending machines that walk around. You got to say the right things to them, and they'll give you whatever it is you need. Um, uh, Personality modeling, personal expression, that kind of thing is just not done. And so
Yeah.
I set to work on this problem 30 years ago, and I came up with all sorts of ideas. I was taking the ideas of C-Boot and expanding them. And I am extremely proud of all the wonderful technology I built. I built these great things like Geekto, which is a general purpose language system. You could create any language you want in it. It's still an iconic language, although it can be done with words.
Yes.
Um, but the neat thing is the uh, words mean things because they have internal algorithms that we expect or that we understand. And in Dicto, you build the algorithm for the word right in there with the word. And so an operational language, not just a dictionary. I'm very proud of that. I did all sorts of wonderful things, but alas, alack, it didn't work. It was too complicated, too messy. It was like building a, a bicycle with the control panel of the space shuttle, and
Yeah.
just too hairy to use. So uh, but I felt this is my life's work. I've got to get interactive storytelling working. And about nearly 4 years ago, I think, it suddenly hit me that I should just throw away all of my technology that I'd spent 25 years developing and
Hmm.
start all over using the concepts from Trust and Betrayal for anecdotes. And I expanded the concept into what I call encounters, and they are much more sophisticated data structures. But basically, Le Mort d'Arthur, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Le Mort
Yeah.
d'Arthur, I believe to be the first piece of genuinely interactive art. Now, there's a lot of art on computers,
Yes.
but most of it will have some interactive stuff and some art stuff, but they don't mix. The art stuff is really neat, great art, but the art isn't in the interaction. You can interact with the art, but the interaction itself is not the art. With Le Mort d'Arthur, the art lies in the interaction that you have with the game.
Yes.
You get all sorts of choices. You have a zillion decisions to make.
Hmm.
It's a big, big thing. It's got 360 some odd uh, events, encounters,
Yes.
um,
Combinations whatsoever. Yeah.
and a huge range of things. You talk to people, you fight battles, uh, you judge people, you make life and death decisions, you make a
Mm.
lot of mundane decisions.
Yeah.
Um, but fundamentally, this is a design about death and the meaning of life. It's funny because video
Yeah.
games or most games have an enormous amount of death in them. You're always killing
Mhm.
something,
Wow.
and we've killed trillions of virtual creatures with video games, but we've never really talked about the meaning of life, and that's what Le Mort d'Arthur is about. It is about the meaning of life as illuminated by death. And so I don't want to give away anything, but uh,
Yeah.
the people who do play with it, uh, an awful lot of people try it out and they go 5 or 10 moves and they say, hey, I haven't shot anybody yet. This is boring. And they walk away. Fine. It's not for them.
Yeah.
But about once every week or so, I get a long email from somebody saying, I just played Le Mort d'Arthur and it really triggered a lot of thoughts. And I'd like to share some of my thoughts with you. And they go on for pages about, what they were feeling. But Merlin said this. And then Guinevere wanted me to do that. What does that mean? And some very serious people are really affected by it in a much deeper way than they are by regular games. But
Yes.
you've got to stick with it. It's a long experience and it requires a lot of patience because it builds and builds and builds. And by the
Exactly.
time you reach the end, it is ready to hit you in the gut. But you have to get there. You have to go through all of these preliminary things
Right.
before it can really do that to you.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm very proud
Awesome.
of it. It is my life's work. I feel that I have achieved the goal I set out for myself way back in the Dragon speech, back in 1994 or 5, whenever.
Yeah,
Uh,
tell us about that if you want to. Yeah.
yeah. And but I always appreciate feedback on it. And so anybody who plays it, especially if you think it really sucks, I have gotten a few of those.
Oh
Mostly they're
my.
from gamers who are mad because they couldn't figure out how to win.
Yeah.
And the thing about this is, it's not really about winning or losing.
Yeah.
There are different outcomes, and some are better than others. In fact, I'll say there's a white outcome and 2 black outcomes.
Yes.
That's supposed to be a hint,
Hint, hint. Yeah. It's a hint.
but it really isn't a matter of winning or losing.
Yeah. I'm a casual gamer. I'm 42 almost, and I'm a casual gamer at this point in my life. I'm not a diehard gamer. Maybe I got myself into diehard gaming in my early 20s, late teens, maybe when I was from like between like 8 to like 28, but that was it. Yeah, I kind of became more casual into the older games, like the
Yep.
computer games, Pac-Man, and I do play your games often. But yeah, did you want to tell us about the some more about a little bit elaborate about the dragon speech that you had? Like,
Oh, yeah, that's up on YouTube. If
yes, I saw that.
if you just search Crawford and Dragon, that'll almost certainly get you there. There are a number of fragments of it, but then somebody put together the whole thing in one
Yeah.
video. In the early days of YouTube, you couldn't post a long video.
Yeah. I remember
Anyway,
that.
it is easily the finest speech I've ever given.
Yes.
It is, uh, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It is a very uh, passionate speech. It really expresses many of the ideas that I was going for, and
Yeah.
it makes it easier to understand why I left the games industry and went to work on interactive storytelling, and why I was willing to work for nearly 30 years on the problem of interactive storytelling. That takes a lot of
Yes.
stubbornness.
Oh, yes, absolutely. A lot of determination, diligence, and all that, and you have it all.
Well, I achieved my goal. It was
You
very
did.
scary right up until the end. For a long time, I thought, I'm not going to do it. My life will be a failure. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, in fact, here's an odd way of expressing it.
Yes.
I live out in the mountains, and so there's windy mountain road to get to my place.
Yeah.
And frequently, someone will come roaring around one of those curves in my lane. It's a fairly frequent experience.
Yeah.
And whenever that happened, the first thought in in my mind was, "No, I can't die yet. I haven't finished. I've got to finish before I can die."
Exactly.
Nowadays, they come roaring around the curve, and I say, "Well, I'd rather not, but I can cope." Uh,
Yeah.
so, in other words, I can die in peace now. So
Yes.
that's
Wonderful
a
way to
weird
tell
way.
it in some way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I came up with an idea based on you. I came up with an idea. Interactive storytelling. It has something to do with your interactive storytelling. And I love doing improv. I'm a character actor.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Like I do like to do cheesy things on the internet or streaming or podcasts. Like I'm very silly. I like to go out and like right now I like to go want to step away from the computer at some time and actually host shows live, like in person, as in my cheesy persona, like my silly eccentric, as they call it, outlandish persona that I'm sometimes come across as, and I want to work with a bunch of my friends or people in general, some other people in general, and take into. I want to call it improv interactive storytelling. You're familiar with improv acting,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
comedy? I want to make a combination of the two, improv interactive storytelling, and I was wondering what your ideas or thoughts about it. What do you have to say about that?
I discussed it a number of times with
Yes.
improv people over the years.
Yes.
And the difficulty I've always faced with it
Yeah.
is, how do you get input from the audience? It works well if you have a group of improv actors, good ones, who are feeding off each other. They're interacting with each other. That works. Boy,
Yes.
sometimes that's brilliant.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring the audience in, it's really tough for two reasons. One,
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to be scared. Well, I don't want to. I won't say anything. And then there are the people who are saying, "Yeah, but what about? Oh, what if you're a Nazi? Ha ha ha!"
The
The
hecklers.
crazy people
I
who,
know. Are they going to heckle you or be afraid to say something? But
yeah, yeah,
at
it's
this point, I deal with it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
uh, I've always thought, well, maybe you could give people a kind of a menu of things that are acceptable to say, or
Yeah, like a series of bullet points as
yeah,
how I write my shows and how you made some of your games like Trust and Betrayal.
yeah, yeah. So
Some language, yeah, and using that language, they would come up with something that would be suitable for many audiences. And as far as the audience is concerned, I welcome their comments, and I dealt with enough hecklers as it is. I can't say I get upset with them all the time, but if they're disrespectful, it upsets me, but not always.
mm,
Sometimes it doesn't even bother me. I mean, it's a thing on the internet that hopefully, but there's not everybody on the internet's an awful person. There are some mature people on the internet that are very educated
yeah,
and they give you constructive criticism in an adult fashion manner, and they're very nice about it. They're very sweet, very kind, very laid back, and they'll give you life's lessons as if they were a friend or a buddy, like this coffee chat was.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you, Chris, I thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this coffee show.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's very exciting and fun and exciting, and I had lots of excitement going on. And I wanted to tell you that all of you folks that we might have had a few mishaps along the like snags or inaccuracies along the way, but we tried to polish it a bit. We tried to get the truth, tried to get whatever was true out there, and hopefully we'll work on that. And I'll post more about that on the Atari Age forums and all over the internet if I have the time to. But yeah, I would love to do a show with you about other things again, Chris, if you would like to come back at a later time.
Sure, sure.
Yes, I'm going to try to come up with some new material. Or I might be repetitive, forgive me, but I'm going to try to come up with new material. And we're going to try to have Remix Plum hosting. If you're in with us still, we want you to host. I know you're busy, but we want you to host with us. He's a wonderful person, so you're going to love his hosting style.
Okay. Good.
Thank you so much, Chris. I will be in touch with you on email very soon. I will tell you all about where you can find the episode, and we'll be in touch.
Very good. Very good.
You got it.
Okay. Well, I will see you whenever.
You got it, Chris. Thank you so much. And thank you, friends. Until next time on YouTube and on Instagram and all over the internet, I'm Chris Kennedy along with Chris Crawford. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Thank you. And we're clear.